Hello, Yaman. Have you ever given it a thought as to why the shape of the graph keeps on changing as the index of the variable keeps on increasing? In the case where the variable has the index of 0, it can be written as y is equal to a coefficient multiplied by the x raised to the power 0. That means y can be written as c, where the shape of the graph is a line parallel to the x-axis. And upon addition of a term where the power or the index of x is raised from 0 to 1, the formula of y can be written as bx plus c. In this case, the line being parallel in the previous case is changed to a new shape where the straight line would be still a straight line, but the nature of being parallel would be changed to a non-parallel or a slanting line, and it becomes a quadratic equation and the shape is a parabola. So we'll discuss today as to why the shape goes on changing upon increasing the number of terms from the term with the x with the power 0 to the newer terms where the power of x is increased from 0 to the increasing values of 1, 2, 3 and more. And we will discuss also about the parabola having the opening upwards and downwards, and the difference between the equations where the change in angle the tangents make is faster and also where the same is slower. So all these facts will be discussed in this video. Gentlemen, the equation of the parabola is written in the form of ax square plus bx plus c. Let's see what it would mean if the equation was to be written only in terms of one value, that is c. So in that case, y would be constant for all the values of x. So the graph would be a straight line parallel to the x-axis. We can call it as c multiplied by the x raised to the power 0. And if we increase the power of x from 0 to 1, we can add one more term, that is b into x raised to the power 1. It would change the condition of being flat of the graph to a slanting condition, and angle that it makes would be a constant angle to the x-axis for all values of the x. And upon addition of one more term where the x is having a power increased by one more number, that is from 1 in bx to 2, the new term will be called as a into x square. And in this new term, it will be having a property of again changing one more nature of the curve. In the previous case, the curve was making a slantingness of the graph, but the slantingness or the slope of the curve was fixed for all values of x. And now when the x square was added, it will bring a change in the slope of the curve from being fixed to a variable slope at different points of x. Vx had changed the graph from a flat condition to a slanting condition. Upon addition of one more term, slanting condition with the fixed slope would be now changed to a variable slope. So the ax square would now change the condition of the graph from a fixed slope to a variable slope. So that is why in the parabola the slope is not fixed but it is changing at different places of the x. For the graph, when it is compressed, the span over which the initial graph was elongated, upon being compressed, the change in the angle is now quick, and upon being elongated, now the same change can be made over a larger span in the x-axis. That means the change in the angle is slower. So whenever the change in the angle or the change in the slope is faster, the value of a should be higher. When the change in slope is slower, but the graph was elongated, there the magnitude of a would be less. One more thing is that when you draw a triangle in the first quadrant, the hypotenuse is rotated from the base in the anti-clockwise direction. So it makes an angle in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is the positive angle. So you can say that the positive angle is in which the line rotates in the counterclockwise direction. That means the increase in the angle is when the line rotates in the counterclockwise direction more and more. When the angle is reduced, it has to be turned in the clockwise direction. Whenever the curve is having the opening upwards, it can be seen that from left sides the tangents as we go towards the right side keep on making the different slopes in such a way that the tangents from the left to right keep on being rotated in the anti-clockwise direction. That means the angles are going on increasing. Or in other words, we can say that when the angles are increasing, the change in the angle is said to be positive, because the increasing order is for the positive change. So that is why this is seen in the parabola which is having the opening upwards. Change is positive change, where it was changed from negative to positive or from lower to the higher value. That's why the change is positive. So in this case, the sign of A would be positive. And whenever the opening is downwards, it can be seen that at the leftmost position, the slope would be made with the positive value. And when we move further towards the right side, the slope would be the opposite, that means the negative value. So the change in the slope is from positive to negative, that means it is going on reducing. So in this case, the change is negative. That's why the sign of A would be negative in this case, but the opening of the parabola is downwards. So these are the two reasons about the magnitude and the sign of A. So we have discussed about the two coefficients A and B and also the constant C. Let's start with the one with the least power of x, that is the constant. The constant is the one with which the graph starts to deviate in the other direction of the x-axis. That is, and now coming to the term with the power of x raised by 1, that is x raised to the power 1, it is bx. Bx has the property of changing the flatness of the graph to a slanting line. And when we add one more term with the power of x, further raised by one value, that is x to the power 2. The new term is ax square. As in the previous case, the px had changed the property of flatness of the graph. This time ax square will change the property of the constant angle the tangents make to the variable angles that the tangents will make at the various points of x. So these are the changes upon the addition of newer terms and the power of x increases. And about the coefficients a and b, a being more, the rate of change of the slope would be high. That means within a short span the slope will be changed with a very high rate. That means it will be changing fast. And with the larger span, that means when it is expanded, the rate of change of the slope will be less. Next coefficient, there is b. B is the starting angle that the graph makes at the point where it touches the y-axis. So there is the starting angle the graph makes with which when the curve starts to deviate towards the positive x-axis. So this is all about in this video. The next video is going to be a real interesting one. Subscribe to my channel if you want to learn about the other interesting topics and the interesting facts about any article in the mathematics topic. And do share this video among your friends so that they can also be benefited out of this. Don't forget to put your comments and also the suggestions that you might like to hear from me so that I can make videos according to your suggestions and requests. Thanks for watching this video and see you soon in the next video. Till then, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.